What's the nicest thing anyone's ever done for you? When my daughter was 17, she was in the worst car accident I'd ever seen. I got a random phone call at 4 a.m. and didn't think much of it. My phone rang once, then twice. I almost didn't answer, but something told me I had to. When I picked up, my niece was screaming into the phone. Cassie just got into a terrible accident. Get here ASAP. Her words were barely making sense, but the panic was clear. And then, I heard someone else in the background. A man saying something about a car crashing into his yard. Without thinking, I grabbed my keys and drove as fast as I could. When I arrived, the scene was like something out of a nightmare. Broken glass covered the ground. The car was split in half, twisted beyond recognition. My daughter was still trapped, half hanging out of the wreckage. I ran to her, brushing her hair from her face. She looked up at me, calm. Go check on the others, she calmly said. The first responders arrived as I was holding her hand. They cut through the metal to free her. She survived, but barely. After a month in the hospital, they transferred her to a rehab center an hour away. I had to juggle work, taking care of my son, and driving through snowstorms to see her. I was drowning, emotionally and financially. One of my regular customers at the restaurant, Mrs. Jones, saw through me. She checked on me every day and wiped my tears when I broke down. When the doctor finally said my daughter could come home, there was a problem. She couldn't walk, and we couldn't afford the wheelchair she needed. The next day, Mrs. Jones came in. When she asked how I was doing, I broke down and told her everything. She hugged me and said, everything will work out. That night I got a call. Mrs. Kelly, you can pick up the wheelchair anytime. I told the man there must be a mistake, and I couldn't afford it, but he replied, Mrs. Jones rented it for as long as your daughter needs. I dropped the phone, overwhelmed by her kindness.